Hope you guys are having an awesome spring equinox. Or is it equinox? I like to say equinox. I don't know. It feels different. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're having an amazing day. My name is Justin, and today we are listening to Jean-Michel Jarre with his album Équinoxe, continuing from where we last left off. We're gonna finish up parts 5 through 8 of the album, which was released in 1978. Regardless of whether you're watching this first thing early in the morning on Saturday or completely some other time, I hope that you are having a great day. I hope that you've had a great day, and hopefully tomorrow is better. Not that today or the day you're watching it is a bad day, but you can always hope for a better tomorrow. So I was just reading a little bit about the album and about Jean, and I didn't know this, but apparently it was Jean that had the biggest concert attendance ever, like the biggest concert ever. This was in 1997 at Moscow. It was an attendance of over 3.5 million, or about in that range. Can you imagine that? That is just an insane amount of people. As insane as that crowd is, just the sheer number of people there. I mean, I can imagine just how powerful the music is to bring that many people together. I know that for those 3.5 million people, it was probably one of the most memorable experiences of their life. I can imagine what that'd be like. That's literally like a whole city just gathered together for a concert. That is awesome. I would love to experience something like that, and especially with music as like mentally engaging and stimulating as we've heard so far. But for now, let's sink back into it. Let's listen to the rest of it, finish out the album. I hope that you guys are having an amazing day, like I mentioned before. Join me on Twitter. Join me in the comments down below. If you like, you can support the channel on Patreon. But for now, let's take it down. I can't turn down the lights, but let's mentally turn down the lights and get into some more music from Mr. Michel Jarre. This is Équinoxe, parts 5 through 8. I'm gathering my thoughts. I'm gathering my thoughts. I'm loading. I'm loading. I'm processing. Why are we going to Oxygen? That's not the right album. The last half of the album felt like everything stepped up a lot more. There's a few things I want to talk about, which I guess is obvious, seeing as, you know, what I do on the channel. But let me work from the last things we heard and kind of go backwards just a little bit. So first of all, everyone was talking about how part 5, like, they couldn't wait for me to listen to part 5 and get to part 5. And listen, parts 5 and 6, great. I'm going to tell you what my visuals were of that in a little bit. But I really want to talk about part 7. Part 7 was, to me, the crest, the zenith of the mountain that is Équinoxe by Jean-Michel Jarre. Man, part 7 has everything. Everything. I want to talk about that. I could do a video solely on part 7. I'm going to save that just for a second. I'm going to put that to the side. Let's work backwards though. Part 8. All right, that felt like a really nice epilogue to the album. There wasn't a lot of extra things going on. We had already, went to the top of the mountain. This was just a nice ending, a very sweet ending to the album. So one of the coolest things, of course, as we've listened to the past album, Oxygen, and to this one, is the production. Production is immaculate in this album. There are so many sounds, and I feel like if you have a good sound system, good headphones, whatever, there are so many sounds throughout these pieces. So many sounds and tones and things going off and things echoing and reverbing. Sounds that are bouncing back and forth, pinging back and forth like a tennis ball in the system. It's just so well done. And everything is given space. Every sound is given attention. Every piece of the puzzle has something relevant. Something relevant to the piece as a whole. Talking about the production, I want to mention really quick in part 8. So part 8, it sounded like it was like a polka section in the beginning. It sounded like it could have easily been like accordion playing. Like, I just thought it was really funny. Like I said, a really fun and interesting way to kind of bring about at least the ending of the album. But what was really cool is what I was mouthing in that. So listening to it, I was enjoying it, but I'm like, where am I right now? Like, what do I see? And eventually the image came up of, get this is just what I felt, right? You know Star Wars, you know those speeder bikes that they're riding on, what was it, Endor, like the stormtroopers? I felt like I was on one of the speeder bikes riding through, but it was not on Endor, it wasn't in the woods or the forest. I was riding in like this really strange alien land that's almost indescribable. There were so many colors, so many abstract shapes that I don't think really exist. And I was just on this cosmic highway, riding my speeder down down the road. I don't even know if it was really a road. And all these colors and shapes were just spinning around me. And I didn't know quite where I was heading because this is my first listen. I don't know where the next songs go. But I was swept away in the journey of 5 and 6. Succinctly put, I was really just on this interstellar road to the stars. But then when we got to part 7, that's when I realized where we were going exactly. Part 7, I'm initially describing it as Techno Transylvania. Because there was this unique gothic vibe, especially in the beginning. It was darker than what had preceded it, but it wasn't like dark. Like it was like, I don't know, Casper the Friendly Ghost dark? Castlevania dark, maybe a little bit. Like there was a story to be told in part 7. And part 7 like really has so much good stuff going on. I'm probably going to go a little more in depth in part 7 because that's the one that really like stood out to me a lot. But let's just briefly talk about parts 5 and 6 really quick. Let's go back in. Let me turn the volume down. We've heard it. So I like this rain sound effect that it begins with, and then later on we get, I believe, going into part 8, maybe. I don't know. I was just listening. I wasn't paying attention to everything. But this is very like clinical in its sound, right? Upbeat, and I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing. It's just very clean slate. But there's just so many details going on in here. Let's pass on a little bit, because here I was kind of talking over it. But there were some sound effects that sounded almost like voices, but very distant, distorted, filtered voices and messed with. Perhaps like you were hearing someone talking on a telephone that has a bad connection. Or, even better, if you were underwater and someone was talking to you. It was like that kind of muffled voice. And I don't think that was actually a voice in the song. I think it was maybe something emulating or sounding like it to me. But either way, it was just a really cool effect. That driving beat, those fun synthy bounces that are going on, this main melody, for example, this little keys that are introduced. Every single one of those extra elements are the sights to be seen on the sides of the road. Are those attractions, those abstract shapes, those alien people that you don't know, like, or what they are. You know? Like aliens from like Rick and Morty, right? Like, I don't know, they're Glorps or whatever they're called. Like, but that main rhythm and that main melody is the road itself. And that stays constant, that's repetitive, that's good. You need something familiar to base yourself on. Everything else is just adding sauce on top of the ice cream. Not sauce, like chocolate sauce. You don't put barbecue sauce on your ice cream. What? You see how well things are faded in? And then other elements are slowly and perfectly cross-faded, well, in, while other ones are cross-faded out. So that the song doesn't sound cluttered. And even though this one is a little bit more rapid in its delivery of all of its parts, it's professionally handled. Because Jean-Michel Jarre is a genius at what he does. And there's always that familiar line to come back to as well, even as alien things appear and disappear. Part 6 retains that same rhythm, kind of dropping out a few things, at least in the beginning. And more of the sounds in this one reminded me of like older, I don't know if I want to say Atari, but like older video game systems. And obviously a lot of video game music, especially modern day, has come from the things of the past, whether that is electronic music like this, classical music. Nobuo Uematsu is very influenced by ELP. He's the musical like director for like and composer for a lot of Final Fantasies music. So it's really cool for me to hear, like for example, what was going on at this time, because I can hear and kind of connect the pieces, how it's linked to modern day music in, for example, video games. This sounds like you're taking a paddle with a ball, just hitting against the wall and recording the sound effect, pitching it up, adding some reverb or something. But it's very warpy. No, warpy isn't the word I want to use. It's very warped. What's warpy? And how do you spell it? Is it W-A-R-P or is it W-O-R-B-Y? It's warpy. Let's talk about part 7. First of all, before I begin my rants, because I will rant a little bit, what do you guys think of part 7? What is the consensus on part 7 in this album? Because I feel like part 7 is the close to the edge of close to the edge. The supper's ready of Foxtrot. I don't know what else. The awaken of going for the one. I mean, to me, part 7 is just an epic piece that has every single element that I'm looking for when listening to this music. Full of emotion, full of interesting melodies, intricate rhythms, fun rhythms, loads of distinct and unique sounds that sound like nothing I've necessarily heard. This part here, just how it opens up, I love this. I love this. Can you imagine someone playing this on an actual bass? And this synth, so melodic by the way, so good. This synth glows on top of it. This sounds a little bit new wave-ish. If you just replace like instruments a little bit or something, this sounds like a new wave band doing something with that. And the chords. Like this is really hypnotic to me. I think it's somewhere in this area that I may have just like forgotten I was recording. And even as it builds up, it still remains very, very consistent in its feeling. And here, the extra noises that are added in, the extra effects, don't sound as alien. It sounds a little bit more familiar. So, if we're taking things that are between the familiar and the alien, in the middle, we're left in the uncanny valley. The things that haunt us the most, the things that are the scariest, because they retain some human-like familiarity, but at the same time, there's just something off about it. So, to me, that's what attracts me. You know, that is the scary thing in a sense, but for the music, that's what attracts me because it seems so familiar, but at the same time, so not. Listen to the bass drum, the beat in there. Ooh, I gotta talk about this too. I forgot about that. Two things, okay? Two things. All the bass drum is playing in this song is boom, 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 which sounds like a heartbeat. Once again, he's putting the music into our hearts, kind of literally in this sense. It sounds like a heartbeat. So to me, that makes it connect even more. Like, I feel very linked with this song in particular. Then we get kind of a theremin-like sound coming in as well, which, as I was saying, this is kind of techno Transylvania. So I'm thinking spooky, I'm thinking haunted house, I'm thinking like that kind of thing. So when that theremin comes out, it sounds like this ghastly woman's voice that's shrieking through the halls. You hear it shrilling and echoing through the halls and rebounding. And like I said, it's a little scary, but it's also kind of inviting and interesting, like a siren. You know the danger, but you can't help but move towards it. And you guys know how I feel about big, substantial chord changes, especially in a minimalistic part like this. Each one sounds so huge, almost like it's completely changing the field of music that it's present in. Even as these synthy winds swirl around, woo! Guys, part 7's a beast. And then eventually we end and the sounds fade away. That really, really good bass is left in there. I love how thick that bass is too. Like, you feel that, you know? That is such a good bass. That part 7 is just, I don't know. As I was listening to it, I was linked and I was lost in it, but at the same time I was like, ooh, I gotta talk about this. Ooh, I gotta talk about this. Oh, and don't forget about this. Why are the first reviews that are shown on Wikipedia so negative? David Segerson of Melody Maker scorned the record, saying it is as slushily, pseudo-galactically crass and vapid as last year's Oxygen. The melodies are trite, harmonies predictable, textures almost determinedly hackneyed? I don't even know. There isn't even much that's danceable. And yes, it's kind of predictable in some parts, but that's because electronic music, especially of this sort, is built upon repetition. So it is supposed to be repetitive. But I actually think that this breaks a lot of that repetitive mold because of all those distinct and unique sounds that are thrown in. So yes, you have, as I mentioned before, that road that you're traveling on. That's your familiar piece of land, and you know where you're going. You know what a road is. But there's all these alien things going on around it that it doesn't feel repetitive because you're getting lost in the sights and the sounds and the smells of the things that are surrounding you with the music. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed the music. Even more so than the video. I hope you enjoyed the music, as I definitely did. Please let me know what you thought about part 7, because I don't know. There's something about part 7. In talking about electronic music and, you know, especially older electronic music, I know a lot of you guys have recommended Tangerine Dream. I don't know exactly the name. Is it Klaus something? I have to look at it again. I don't have it in my mind right now. Kraftwerk with Autobahn and stuff like that. And, you know, we'll probably look at more in the future as well. So thank you guys for the interest. Thank you guys for watching the video. I don't really have much else to say except part 7. I'm sorry, I gotta stop talking about part 7. You can join me on Twitter if you'd like. You can comment down in the comment box below. I would love that. You can support the channel on Patreon if you'd like to. You don't have to, but, you know, it helps. And besides that, I hope that the rest of your Saturday is good. If it's not Saturday when you're watching this, I hope that whatever day it is just as good as Saturday. And otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Bye.